Alright, I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit about macros since there's more people using macros now that they're available to all the different platforms. So these are the macros I've developed in the last year that I find to be the most useful ones for me. The first one is called Zoom All, and I use it constantly. What it does is it selects all the events within the song and then zooms to that particular group of events. So it has the side effect of you've got a bunch of different windows open and you hit zoom all, it'll just resize to whatever window you have open. Here I'll close these two windows and open that up, and there it is. And it always goes to the end of the song and gives you the complete view of the song. So I'm probably using that about every 20-30 seconds while I'm working on Studio One. The next zoom is just if you're particularly working on a track. Let's say I'm down here working on this bass track and I want to zoom in on it. There's the bass track and all its parts, so easy for me to see. The next two are just buttons for what are already hotkeys, Shift S and Shift L for zooming in on a loop or zooming in on a selection. So primarily use that one the most. The next section I want to talk about is the Compa Loop, and I'll just go through these from left to right and talk about how much I use them and what I use them for. The next one is called Compa Looping, and it has a couple of macros that are very useful in the comping environment. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a comping song. Let's say you just got done with a comp. Here's some comps, and they're typically done in a loop. And you want to zoom into this and see it a little bit better. This option right here, what it does is it zooms in, it goes to the start of it and starts play. And there's just a standard Alt, hold the Alt key down. If you want to loop on that, you can hold down Alt and a Shift, and what it'll do is play the selected region in a loop, but you can't hear that loop in context of the song. So what I like to do is just select the clip and then hit. So it's an easy way to identify which one of the comps you want to actually use by referencing it to the other tracks and looping on it like that. And this last one is just a simple set loop and play, and it's just if you happen to be in a state of no loops on, no loops defined, and you want to loop something, it will automatically. These next macro bars are actually larger buttons, and they're designed for your fingers to be able to touch them. Each one of them is about the size of your finger and allows you to float the macro bar and put them down close to where you're working. If you're on an iPad, you only have a limited screen, and this allows you to put this thing right in the center of the screen and hit play, record, whatever you want, and set your loops. It's almost impossible to set your loops with your fingers in Studio One. So maybe in the future they'll make Studio One touchscreen savvy, but right now it's not. So what you have to do is actually use these guys. You set the cursor where you want, and then set the loop left-hand side, and then set the loops right-hand side. And these make it nice and easy to do with your fat fingers. And there's some other ones in here to punch and obviously undo or redo. That's quite a bit when you're recording. Create an audio track for guitar, create an audio track for vocals, and then it's optimized for each one of those, and a few other things. But basically this is just your basic recording capability via an iPad, and that's what those buttons are for. I'll go ahead and put this back up there. In this next section, I actually wrote in the last month, and what it is it's macros that you use once you've recorded the song and you're ready to start mixing it down, and you're looking for and you're hearing errors in the tracks and you're hearing issues maybe with timing or pitch or something, these macros allow you to go in to quickly fix those issues as you're going through the kind of the initial runs of the system. So let's just say you're having to be in a mode where you've got everything over here and you've got a bunch of stuff up and running and you just got done tracking, and then you want to start actually listening to the song and auditioning the song. What this button does is closes a lot of the windows and resizes the windows and starts the play where you're at and turns off all the solos, turns off all the loops, so you're hearing the song in its entire context. Now what this next button does, these two buttons work in context with each other. Well, this one's called Audition and this one's called Listen. So this is listening to the entire song. This is auditioning just one particular part of a song. So let's say I'm down here focusing in on that guitar, on this lead guitar part as I'm listening to the whole song. Now what I can do, once I've identified that particular part that I'm listening to, I can actually go in and fix the pitch of it or fix the timing of it. What this macro does is it slices the section that's under the loop for that track, puts it into Melodyne, opens up Melodyne, allows you to make the edit on Melodyne just for that one particular region. Or this one here actually slices the track, automatically detects transients and then quantizes them to the current quantized value, which can be changed after the fact if it's not quite right. So these two are based off of loops and these two are based off of regions. So if I were to go in and identify a region, just a particular line there, I could go in and what it's done is it's cut that part out, created a loop around it, and allows me to go in and make some edits. And listen to it in context of the song. So these are really handy little macros to listen to the whole song, audition a part, go in and do surgical edits with Melodyne or with the bend tool, either by region or by loop. This macro works the same way, only it works with tempo. So for example, I'll play some song here. I'm listening to the bass track. Let's say I just wanted to fix that bass line there. I'll go ahead and for that loop, I'm going to click this macro, and what it'll do is splice it out and quantize it. Listen to it in context. And this last one I use for what it does is it selects all the tracks and all the channels and allows you to do stuff like adjust the gain while the song is playing. If you need to bring everything down, or if you need to set a particular value over here on the tracks or something for some reason, and say you wanted to go in and set them all to don't follow or something with it, when they're all selected, they'll all get changed at the same time. So those are real handy for fixing errors, fixing issues while you're in the kind of first pass of the mix portion of the song. These last two are used for just cleaning up the song. Let's say you want to call it a day. You just click this button, and what it does is closes all the extra windows, maximizes the song for one window, turns off a lot of things that may have had on during the process, and saves it. And this is just a simple save. It's like hitting Control S. There you go. There's some simple macros. I want to show you one more. Have you ever noticed when you're working on a song and you may want to render it out or something, you notice it's not quite right because your end hasn't been defined yet? Let's just take a look at the end on this song. By default, it's hanging way out here in the 150 range. What this last one does is it measures the actual length of the song based on the length of the tracks and sets the end equal to the last track end. So let's go ahead and do that. There it lines it up to exactly the end of the song. And that one's called The End, and that is the end of the macros. And I hope you found that useful, and encourage you to build your own macros based off your own workflows. Some of these may be very useful for you, and I hope you use them. You can find them on the Exchange along with the icons, and happy music making. Thanks.